here in Baguio City for tourism, Mount Venus. Even if she's retired already, yeah, she's really everywhere, visible everywhere, working, something like that. Today, she was telling me how she is having a lot of people around her as staff working, really her helping her, but now when it comes to one man woman in many projects and programs. And yeah, as I said, Mayor gave me a message that I would just like to share a few things because it struck me that our team for this workshop of cultural tourism recovery is adaptation and economic diversification. And it mentions about the sharing best practices, right? I also share good things about the city. There have been really a lot of attempts to find diverse or other alternative economic enterprises for our those who are really affected and then we know the fact that Baguio heavily relies on tourism as livelihood and source of income. And so I think this in our tourism like around 7 billion peso industry annually as in terms of gross receipts. That's how much a lot of income gets into Baguio City for tourism alone. To account for how it affects the population, it can reach up to 70% of the entire population directly in and indirectly. Because even small cafeterias or even the taxis for the chimneys, we have a bulk of their clientele from tourists and from visitors. So that's how big the impact is of the tourism industry here in Baguio City. And with that, imagine how it impacted the economic status when the pandemic came. So we cannot do anything but those two, adaptation or diversification of opportunities. There have been a lot of attempts to diversify, but not many can successful because that their competency sometimes is very limited. Say with the help of not being here. She was the pioneer of, I would say, the only festival in the Philippines that happened during the pandemic was the New Creative Festival in 2020. That's at the height of the pandemic. We were also considered the first city to reopen the domestic tourism as early as September of 2020. So just in time with the Olympic Festival November of the same year. And that's just one of those that I'm telling as the government. We will have to find enabling avenues for our not only the creatives, but the tourist industry in general. To be able to at least find ways to start recovering. That festival alone, I think we were able to provide a venue to earn up to 3 million pesos just for 1 month. And that went to it directly to the craftsmen, to the artists, where where in any place it's difficult to attain that much, but we were able to do that. And we were able to sing and even make it grow by next year, 2021. And this year we're able to it's the only festival that we have our Winaca events was put together postponed for 2 years. We will only revive it again this year. So, but if I did that was now that happening for adaptation. And many others are now developing creating hubs so that our energy now is more on resilience. How we can be able to be resilient in any difficulties that we might be facing in the future. So that's just a glimpse. That there are a lot of things that we were doing here in Baguio. Now I would like to read a message of our dear mayor. So then we will read it from the text. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Foremost, please accept my well wishes of good health and safety to everyone present here today. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to a new and inviting city of Pines. And there's a call for action here. For a few moments, please take off your mask briefly and breathe Baguio. That is our new tagline. But of course, we're not really compelled naman voluntarily. That's our new brand definition tagline. Hashtag breathe Baguio. As we now move towards a more safe environment for a more convenient travel for our tourists. And of course, experiencing new things that you can breathe in, breathe culture, breathe nature, breathe wellness, breathe creativity, all of that you can breathe in where you are in fact. Because of the pandemic, the entire world's tourism and travel industry has been severely affected. It is so badly hit that experts are projecting that its negative impact to our economy may be felt longer than we expect or want to. It is said that it may be after 2024 before the travel industry can fully recover. But despite the difficulties, we never stop in our endeavor to enable the reopening of our economy, even if rather slow and gradual. What has become a source of our resolve is the commitment and understanding across all sectors and the strategic partnership we've created with them. These stands exemplify the best of the Baguio community. I think that's one key factor that for having been able to recover sooner than expected. All the stakeholders, we have partnership from all over the country with the support of PDI, support of POD, giving us additional funding, and all of this in it together as a community. I think that's one. Moreover, we decided to transition Baguio into a smart and sustainable city, advancing responsible tourism. The over-tourism, uncontrolled tourism activity, and the unabated degradation of forests, just to name a few, were but some of the problems we've been facing throughout the years before the pandemic. And it might happen again now. We've been facing, we consider this time of the pandemic a time of reckoning, providing us a reset button for our tourism industry. We've managed to recover not only economically, but also in terms of how we manage our tourism industry now. I enjoin everyone to continue to invest their time, talent, and trust for Baguio to be a better city, a city proud of its rich heritage, confident of our collective competence, and working hard for a shared future. With the academy on our side, and we see a lot of friends from the academy, if they from the academy myself. With you, Baguio will certainly be assured a rehabilitation process that respects our local interests and is actively involved in restoring Baguio's glory from a clear vision of progress sustained by unwavering cooperation with each other. So again, welcome to a wonderful day of togetherness. I wish you all for a successful workshop ahead. Thank you very much. That's the message from our good morning.
Thank you very much, Engineer Alec Mapalo. Very inspiring. First, welcome remarks pa lang, pero I've learned so much already. A lot of information, valuable information that is very much in relation to our topic for today. So once again, we would like to welcome all of those who have just tuned in today. We are now on our workshop number 5 with our theme Adaptation and Economic Diversification, our tourism recovery workshop series. So we'd like to now call on our next speaker, right? This gentleman, I am very, very proud to be a voter because I was voter and win all the time, and he's this person that has need much introduction All I know that it's brilliant, a man of action, very intelligent, very good-looking businessman, our representative of Baguio City, Congressman Marco, a very round of applause, please.
For voting for me. The others need to say. Thank you very much. I just came from Nita, from this morning. I left about 5 o'clock in the morning just to be here in time for this very important event. Again, to the organizers of this forum this morning, our guest president, our participant, of course, I'd like to recognize the friend, our COO, RP, good friend, Venus Parkview. Of course, we heard Alec Mapalo, our tourism head of the city of Baguio. I hope they already confirmed your appointment as the head of the tourism here in the city of Baguio. Under my bill, this is the revision of the city charter. That position now a department. So having said that, I hope you will get the necessary adjustment in terms of your salary grade and pay, including responsibilities. Of course, it's also my pleasure to join you today in this workshop on cultural tourism recovery, as we share our insights, best practices, and reflections on how we can learn from each other in helping our cities revitalize the cultural tourism sector in a more meaningful and sustainable way. We do not only, of course, talk about the city of Baguio, that's why I said cities, but we'd like to involve other cities in the country. It is also my honor to welcome you to our humble and thriving city of Baguio, whether you're joining us virtually or in person for this workshop. Baguio City is located here in the islands of Cordilleras administrative region, the Philippines mountains region in northern Luzon that is collectively home to a vibrant and well-served indigenous heritage. You may be aware that the Philippines has been occupied by a number of colonizers throughout its history. Most notably, the Spaniards who ruled the country for over 300 years. At the time, the Philippines was not yet how we know it today, but an archipelago of islands, each with its own regional polities bound by their distinct cultural and linguistic practices. The Cordillera region is unique from the majority of the country as our ancestors. Defenses proved to be strong and prevented islanders from being subjugated by food, leaving many of our cultural practices intact. Much has changed with them. The Americans arrived and have succeeded for more than so many years. Their effort in exerting the influences on once a untouched region. This is why around the city it is not uncommon to find American-style heritage houses beside our own local woodworks and sculpture. Our elders speaking flawless English and a sizable Protestant population relative to the number of Catholics with the predominant religion in the country. The Americans were also responsible for opening up Baguio City to the rest of the country and even the world. And our colder climate invites them to establish Baguio City Charter and declare it as the Philippine summer capital, where the seat of government from Manila moved to Baguio temporarily in times of the year when the lowlands experience the torrid weather. Today, Baguio represents the relics of its past, as well as the promise of its present and future. In the span of a little over a century since Baguio's declaration as a city, we have seen our hometown thrive and evolve into the bustling urban metropolis it is today. Over the decades, Baguio has grown into the center of business, commerce, and education in northern Luzon, and since then home to a melting pot of diverse cultures and continues to be one of the most popular tourist destinations in the country. Baguio was also the first city to be named the UNESCO Creative City of Crafts and Folk Arts, further cementing its reputation as a city steeped in rich heritage and traditions. Hence, it is relevant that we tackle tourism, particularly cultural tourism, in a city that is pivotal to the region. Throughout the world, countless have focused on recovery measures and progressing with life in that new normal. Across Southeast Asia alone, borders have long reopened, with industries geared towards a full revival, working on recovering what has been lost in the past 2 years, while focusing on making gains for the future ahead. Decades of unwavering tourism, as well as bustling economy, as evidenced by various local businesses around the city, have catapulted Baguio in joy, prosperity, and development. Yet there is no denying that there is some left to be desired in ensuring the full vibrant cultural tourism as an economic driver in these times, by taking steps to secure its sustainability and longevity. Baguio City has a responsibility to continue fostering these local crafts and traditions that delight our visitors, but in a way that goes beyond more tokenism, even at a time when we feel desperate to try and undo the impact of the past 2 years. Our cultural heritage as a source of identity not only gives us an avenue to view memories with nostalgia, but allows us and our people to fully participate in all aspects of socio-economic development by ensuring that our values and beliefs are duly protected and recognized. And so when we align the cultural values held by our people with our nation's plans for development, we make way for inclusive and sustainable growth. This is why it is essential for us to understand how culture, even rooted in history, continues to propel us forward. Culture after all is a societal way of life, and while we capitalize on this heritage to boost our local productivity through tourism and trade in crafts, folk arts, and local cuisine, we must do so in a manner that allows our visitors to understand a deeper sense of our culture and ways in the Cordillera, beyond the surface level. This recognition is important as a deeper appreciation of the arts and creative spirit that brings within the city, enables creatives such as yourselves to deepen the craft and for all of us to gain a wider understanding of our cultural heritage. When our understanding of our culture grows, so do the opportunities for development. The term creative economy was coined by John Hopkins, a British author and so-called father of creative economy, to refer to an entire economic chain of the creative industries that include trade, labor, and production. The creative economy considers the economic value of these creative industries in relation to its societal and cultural values, disrupting conventional business models while allowing emerging economies and developing countries to grow and enjoy high growth areas of the world economy. So how do we adapt our cultural tourism practices and ensure recovery in this sector? By looking to the last standing guardians of these crafts and traditions that keep our heritage alive, by viewing our local creative industries as the sum of the parts of a creative economy, we allow our artisans and creatives the opportunity to grow their craft and talents into something much more than just mere tokens. It grants their crafts and knowledge the dignity it deserves, while validating their place in today's world. While we understand the facets of our culture that inspire delight and spectacle among visitors, we must continue indeed to dignify the indigenous crafts and art that remain today by providing support and encouragement to our artists and artisans to ownership of their craft and by affording them the opportunity to earn a consistent and sustainable livelihood out of it while ensuring that the essence and integrity of the culture remain untouched. This is when we can ensure true cultural tourism recovery and position it as a sustainable economic driver in the region. I am confident that we'll be able to navigate and face the ways to maintain the integrity and relevance of our indigenous tradition, remaining excited in our vision for inclusive progress while rooted in our heritage. So all of you again, maraming salamat.
There you have it. Thank you so much, Honorable Congressman Marco. We're very proud of you. Very nice presentation, sir. And thank you for being here with us. Right, we move on to the next part of our program. I'd like to welcome our keynote speaker. Once again, for those who are just tuning in online, we are live on Zoom. We are on our 5th workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker is a mass communications graduate from the UP Diliman, a media course earned from Pennsylvania, USA, and trade-related course from Brisbane in Australia. She started her career as a radio and television announcer and joined the government through the Departments of Trade and Industry and Tourism. Her stint at the DOT transformed her home region into a next-in-mind destination. At the head office, she led the institutionalization of national programs like OJT for hotels and academia, needs and gaps assessment for training and inclusion of regions in the Mabuhay Awards. She has served as resource person for international talks in South Korea, China, and ASEAN countries on tourism-related matters. She initiated curricular reforms at the PTPC and is leading the institutional reforms of industry skills through the introduction of the Philippine Skills Framework. She possesses both passion and commitment to manage and execute effective operation while ensuring a strong link between national policies and regional concerns. She is declared Woman Leader, Ulirang Ina Awardee, Crystal International Women Awardee, and Outstanding Teduray Achiever Award. Our speaker is the Executive Director of the DTI, Philippine Trade Training Center, and the Project Director of the Philippine Skills Framework Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, put your hands together for Ms. Nelly Nita Dillera.
First, initially, my courtesies to theory. Very much, and also I was learning a lot of Baguio. Just said, really makes me nostalgic of my home region, South. This is North meeting South this time. I am wearing right now of Tripolis. Of course, our organizers, Dr. Dennis Dolcash of James Cook University. Of course, now my very good friend is Jenny Panchal. Thank you for making us a part of this. Of course, thank you very much. This is like a reunion, especially for those of us who are coming from the Department of Tourism before. Kinakabahan lang ako. Okay, thank you very much, Yusek Alma Jimenez, our former Secretary of the Department of Tourism. Of course, Assistant Secretary Maria Lourdes Jackson, also my colleague at the DOD before. Thank you very much for all your guidance. Of course, my fellow before, Regional Director of the DOD Cordilleras Administrative Region, who also became the COO of TP. But before that, of course, an attaché, tourism attaché in Europe for several years. And to all of you who are here, virtually, those who are on Facebook or on Zoom, thank you very much for joining us. And for those who are here in person, we're really very happy to see all of you, and we hope we can have a lot of exchanges. I think that's the very reason why we are here. Have some exchanges as far as cultural tourism, recovery, adaptation, and even economic diversification. I think we will be learning a lot from all of us as we go on. Okay. We're actually supported by, it's really very important for the public and private institutions to come together. And of course, the community's action towards adaptation and economic diversification is necessary for cultural tourism recovery. Tourism in the communities is important because after all, these are what constitute the national tourism. The community as a major player, the source of products, knowledge, and experience, and should therefore be a part of the development plan. Having worked on the ground in the Philippines for the longest time, as I was saying, I worked with the Department of Tourism, but before that, Department of Trade and Industry since it's about 3 decades, and eventually transferred to the national office. We worked in both general, when we talk about industry, it actually covers all business functions in all sectors. But when we talk about the Department of Tourism, it still talks about cross-sectoral business functions, but focusing mainly on tourism. We focus on product development, building, enterprise development, and marketing. I have witnessed in part of the value and part of the value and the tourism contributed to local communities, and how adaptation and economic diversification along with sustainable tourism creates economic value while preserving culture and natural. Okay. Here are the some imperatives coming from the United Nations, UNDP. I think I don't have to overemphasize this because we have actually been talking about this, especially at the height and even post-pandemic. But right now, I'd like to cultural tourism actually makes up almost 37% of global tourism. It is a niche market helping local communities embrace their own heritage and showcase to its visitors, boosting economic growth. Statistics show how pandemic brought global tourism, cultural tourism included, to a standstill, closing sites and putting jobs and source of income at risk. A large portion are in the small and medium enterprises. It is post-pandemic and a challenging concern for developing economies is how to advance towards recovery. Tourism has and will continue to prove its contribution to foreign currency and its potential to serve as a development catalyst to strengthen supply chains, improve productivity, create jobs, and generate local incomes. Okay, coming from the government, I've actually been working in the government for the longest time. I only had a stint in the private sector, I think, for 3 years. I think that is more on media. And eventually I transferred to DTI and DOP. That's why I'd like to share my experience, or maybe something that I've seen that the government can actually contribute to this conversation. I have seen significant growth the government can and must undertake in development. The government has resources, budget, people, policies, and network at its reach. It should be an enabler, investor, orchestrator, among others. As an enabler, I think if we talk about the DTI or even the Department of Tourism, ease of doing business is one thing that a lot of people are actually looking into what the government can contribute, so that opening their own business will not really be a very difficult process. As an enabler, the government should set an enabling environment for cultural tourism to grow, balancing development and regulatory efforts. National policies as well as local legislations involving the communities in the development process are important. As an orchestrator, we can take advantage of the people and organizations that wanted to connect with our office as partner and make use of network to facilitate collaborative activities. It is actually exciting to see various government agencies and private institutions working together for a common goal. Okay, I'd like to start an example that we did in our home region, South-Sargen. Before, each government agency in our region, Department of Agriculture, Department of Tourism, even other government agencies are actually holding a lot of activities, I think not only in an urban area, but even in Metro Manila. But these are conducted separately. For example, Department of Trade and Industry holds trade fair. The DTI also holds, DOT also holds travel fairs. Department of Agriculture would also have its own agri-fair, for example, in Manila. But what we did is, I actually proposed to them the possibility, not only the possibility, but the advantage of putting together or bringing together our resources and doing it where the market is. Because at the viewpoint of the DTI, for example, it's actually bringing your products to where the market is. Unlike in DOT, it's actually bringing the tourists to where the products are. So it's actually different. So by putting our resources, we were able to do more than doing it by agency. We recognize the mandate of each office and veered away from duplicating functions. More importantly, we bonded together and shared vision in developing our region. So we also initiated this number of activities, International Paragliding Accuracy Competition, the BIMP IAGA, or Brunei, Indonesia and Malaysia, Philippines, East ASEAN Growth Area, Budayao, International Festival of Folklore and Traditional Arts, Birdwatching Festival, all anchored on cultural tourism and working with all the local government units and all economic agencies, even the military. The government as a capital funder can put money to projects that would support the total development of the society from culture to infrastructure. Roads are constructed, utilities provided, and as influx of tourists are noted in the communities, their needs, the community's needs are also provided, are also addressed. So roads are built, bus stations are set up, telcos and telecommunication transportations are improved, and other service providers are established, benefiting not just the tourists, but even the locals. This also provides employment opportunities to the locals, thereby generating income. But times have changed. there are a number of drivers of change that the society needs to adjust and adapt. Adaptability is the key success factor during the period of transformation and systemic change in the post-pandemic era. Some key themes in tourism identify key operators which can easily be integrated in cultural tourism, adding value to the offering and more concern for the product. Tourism adjustments that we can adapt to are the following. So increased demand for wellness, small groups and more family-oriented travel, more demand for nature, adventure, and ecotourism away from crowds, experiential travel, especially authentic cultural experiences, and more domestic. There are health protocols, new standards, and regulations, even alignment with global challenges. Let us be open and be prepared. Be prepared to the uncomfortable shifting of business models. For national and international alignment, one strategy that we adopted was to encourage our tourism-operated establishments or community-based eco-cultural tourism to participate in awards and recognitions and competitions. Because the local and international award-giving bodies have actually set criteria that look into the alignment of contestants to global standards, even advocacy and future-proofing programs such as sustainability, inclusivity, social responsibility, and as community aspires to win, it actually works on alignment and is leveling up. And if it wins, that's a bonus already. Okay, so what I'm showing you right now is actually one of the top 100 sustainable destinations of the world. There were only 3 in 2016 and 2 were coming from our region. And I think, packaging really helps and focusing your attention and really working on the documentation or documents that are required for international competitions like this is really very necessary. So making the community celebrate and promote what distinguishes their culture from others. Participation in recognition and awards also make others celebrate with them. Adaptation is also necessary as cultural tourism continue to be challenged by both natural and, in our area in Mindanao, human-induced problems. People are afraid to visit our region because of the image as not peaceful and safe. We have to adapt our marketing campaign such that we are highlighting attractions, not the name. Because I think some of you may not be familiar or some of you may have heard the names of our provinces like Cotabato, South Cotabato, Sultan Kudarat, Maguindanao, and just Soxargen. These are actually composing the region of Soxargen. But if we talk about these provinces and cities, Cotabato, Kidapawan, some people would have second thoughts in visiting our region. So what we did was to package and promote and market our region as one region, not necessarily Soxargen, but Sox. And eventually tourists visited Soxargen and found themselves in the areas that they were having second thoughts of visiting, like for example, South Cotabato or Sultan Kudarat. But because we marketed to them the region itself, then they actually had the chance of really enjoying what we had. We also embarked on the Socks is Next campaign. The Socks is Next campaign, or because we are not top of the mind destination, but we can actually be the next. We also embarked on a number of branding activities highlighting the region, not the provinces whose images are painted. So we had Tao Socks. Tao Socks is actually generating or doing an inventory or doing a database of all the different cultural activities or tourism activities that we have, but focusing on the first people of Socks. Then Treasures of Socks is actually bringing together the different economic agencies and bringing our products and services to the urban Metro Manila. And we also had a lot of product development and so digitalizing is also one way of adapting. Go online, move your business online, sell, do meetings, pitch, and embrace your systems and business operations online platform. What I actually love with tourism when it comes to economic diversification is its capacity to cover a wide range of services. When we were discussing early on with CEO Venus and of course Asset and Yusek Alma, they were actually saying that in tourism we can actually bring together everything. So it's the driver. It's actually collaboration. It encompasses all the different value chains. So as such, shifting from single source income source towards multiple sources from a growing range of sectors and markets is actually possible in tourism. Economic diversification helps manage volatility and provide a more stable path for equitable growth and development. An imperative in many developing countries to increase the number of quality jobs. Covering a number of activities in the value chain can be one way towards economic diversification. This I was able to compare when I worked at the DTI and eventually at DOT. DTI, the focus was just the product, but in DOT, we don't only sell the products as souvenir items, but we also allow tourists to experience weaving, beadworks, brassware making, basketry, and immerse in the cultural practices, traditional rituals, daily routines, songs and dances, and unique experiences. It's actually the life and the whole community that we are engaging. But there is no reinventing the wheel because this is the community's, your way of life, different and authentic, and has attracted visitors to witness or experience. We capitalize on what is already there, added value, and enhance the products and services and package holistic activities to attract new and wider audience as a form of economic diversification. As always, the community should be at the core of all these development efforts. What adds to the attractiveness and uniqueness of the cultural tourism sites are its location. Are its location. Amidst forests with rivers and waterfalls and natural forms around. The natural greens are actually enhanced by the colorful clothing and accessories of the locals. Maintain and sustain this through environmental stewardship and regenerative tourism. Both the locals and the tourists can do something on this. Regenerative tourism represents a sustainable way of traveling and discovering places which main goal is to have a positive impact on holiday destination, leaving it in better condition than how they found it. Avoiding single-use plastics, waste and trash left behind, or even overcrowding natural area where turtles are supposed to lay and hatch their eggs. I hope we really do something about all these things. We strengthen the local presence.
Value
We
chain.
strengthen the local presence by branding our cultural tourism programs, towel socks, treasures of socks, flavors of socks. It was also a venue for us to then eventually enhance and promote our cultural products. We also challenge the local artisans to expand their livelihood objective. This is what we coin as from local to global, from being income generator for the family to income generator for the community and the bigger society. We connected them to bigger value chain as supplier to bigger and established companies, thus making their source of income stable and has compelled them to improve the quality of products based on market demands. We align or we engage women and that one program as complete women. We believe that women are the perpetuators of culture, being involved in the household tasks, weaving, performing, or marketing, and others. Statistics from the IPMR actually support the claim that a lot of women are still into some activities that are not gender fair. But there are actually 2 points that serve as foundation to this project: gender development and of course collaboration. There seems to be an unwritten law where men are expected to work in the farm, gather abaca and sweep them while women are in the areas of dyeing, weaving, and eventually marketing. But other tasks of women are to take care of the home, the children, even the husbands, doing the budgeting and house and even family planning. Making the mothers and women have multiple burdens. This we try to address through complete women programs too. Now, on top of all this is actually capability building, and this is where I can introduce our office, which is the Philippine Trade Training Center, working with experts in capability building. We can do it alone, and the learning curve is long if we do it alone or do it by ourselves. In PTTC, we actually partner with a lot of agencies, local and international. We believe that some people or countries have ways of future-proofing their operations in the face of eventualities. Industry leaders understand that the environment. In our office right now, we did connect to experts too, persons and countries, and one of the notable projects that we have are the ones that actually engaging our enterprises and of the different sectors. So capacity building is necessary if we want to adapt and undertake economic diversification. This is the core of the programs in the office that I handle now, where we do entrepreneurship skills training, and we hope to create career and entrepreneurship opportunities. What we have on the screen right now are the different programs. ASEAN is for aspiring, for domestic, and even for exporters. We have a package of training for marketing, product development, even human capital development. Food Connect is for the food processors who wanted to have their license to operate and certificate of product registration from the Food and Drug Administration. We also have an existing partnership with the FDA. Digifab is where we can provide assistance in terms of packaging, labeling, and even doing prototyping. I'd like to believe the Cordillera Administrative Region produce a lot, the MSMEs here produce a lot of souvenir items, making use of wood or any other raw material. If you're interested to have them prototype, we also have a lot of equipment that can provide assistance to you in our Digify. And finally, Push Start is where we're engaging, where we are developing our fellow Filipinos to develop startups that are tech-related, or developing business solutions and technology solutions that can provide or enhance the entrepreneurship programs of the DTI, not only the DTI, but even, particularly the MSMEs. We also have these online training programs that we would like you to access. These are all free. The ASEAN SME Academy is online. The contents are actually provided by a lot of authors, not only from the Philippines, but even abroad. The second one is actually halal. For those of you who would like also to access the market of halal, also be one program that you can tap on. Of course, again, complete women. Now, coming from the DTI, I'd like also to mention, because I saw in the presentation of Dr. Dennis early on, that among the problems that we have right now is actually accessing market, accessing capital, or financing and all that. Now, from DTI, DTI also has programs on providing marketing platform for our MSMEs and even providing financing programs for our MSMEs. Okay, anyway, in closing, attempted to articulate the importance of adaptation and economic diversification in the recovery of cultural tourism. Based on my own experience, which has a very huge role in economic development, and as such, would also have a devastating impact to the ecosystem when unprepared. Human as we are, we won't allow our fellow countrymen in our respective countries, who are the very reason of our existence and why we are here talking about this, to end up as the losers in our undertakings. Capitalize on culture as capitalize on culture. Okay, let me just share to you this first. These are also some of the programs that we have also developed. These are sector specific. If you see here, we have farm tourism business, something that's related to tourism, farm tourism business, and health and wellness. I'm really very happy that the consultants that we had here were former officials of the Department of Tourism who were also very much engaged in the private sector. And we have a pathway program, and we will talk about pathway program for farm tourism. All the sectors that we have here is actually equivalent to a syllabus. A syllabus or a curriculum complete with modules. So if you're interested to avail of these programs, let us know because we can run this for you. And the screening for the very experts who are running this program is also very tough. So we have a pool of resource persons coming from all over the country who are running this program. I'd like to particularly, of course, highlight and thank you said Alma and of course ASEC MJ for providing assistance to us. They are our consultants in developing tourism-related contents for this. Now for the other contents, again, it's similar to what I also mentioned early on. We're also offering them, we have syllabus, we have curriculum, we have modules that are also developed by industry experts that are also run already. So this is an example, this is the pathway program for farm tourism. So it's, for those of you who are coming from the academy, I think you're familiar with this and looking at this would be something similar to your syllabus. So each box would have a corresponding module, okay? Okay, so concluding statements, as I was saying early on, let's do this. Capitalize on culture. Capitalize on culture, a selling point, and cultural sensitivity is important to hence the need to protect the community and the environment to prevent damaging the cultural sites or overly modernizing them, causing eradication of culture. Cultural tourism allows age-old culture to be celebrated and heritage landmarks to be protected for posterity, as the tourists are not there for modern amenities but to immerse themselves in. Adaptation. Adaptation is such an essential capability to help us succeed in providing a unique and diverse experience to the cultural tourists. Be prepared to adapt with the changing or unpredictable events, not just climate change related, but to the changing reference or preferences of the tourists, which the digitalization greatly influences. At the economic level, and this is the part, economic level, the economic diversification is essential in achieving a sustainable source of income. Given the interaction of this sector in services and industry, as well as in construction, restoration, and maintenance of cultural sites, economic stakeholders must consider this path to be highly adaptable and for a sustainable cultural tourism ecosystem. I've shared the experiences that we took innovation seriously to offer quality tourism. We must embrace innovation and leverage digitalization. Always look for the unmet needs and use our core capabilities to address them to be competitive at that. Remember, innovation is not just about having a new product. You can think in terms of product that uses highly skilled labor or that makes use of advanced and technological applications, yet still achieving balanced tourism outcomes. I mentioned about digital animation and game development skills, among others, which can help you take your operations to the next level. Upskilling and reskilling, timeless cliche as it is, remains an important part of the equation of competitiveness. Whatever occurrences we face, our capabilities will spell our readiness to diversify our economic activities and enhance our adaptability if we are upskilled and if we are skilled ourselves. Thank you very much for this opportunity and allowing us to share something about our experiences, and I hope our audience in person and online has learned something from the best practice and also the improvements that we're doing in our respective areas. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Director Dillera. Wow, we are surrounded by powerful women, and the shakers and movers of the trade and industry at the same time the tourism industry. Thank you so much for that. I've learned so much. I felt like the entire semester rolled into one with that topic. Amazing indeed. So we would like to encourage questions, perhaps 2 to 3 questions after this very informative presentation of Director Dillera. We have questions online, perhaps from Australia or from other countries so far. Right, none so far. Mr. Roy, do you have something there? Okay. For Director Dillera. Okay. So perhaps Dr. Tolkash later would like to have audience participation coming in from the viewers online na lang. We have none. Maybe later on by invite. Baka hindi pa alam ng ating audience online that they can participate even if they're far away. So at this point, let's move on to 10-minute break if you don't have any questions. All right, we have a question from Dr. Tolkash himself. Right? Go ahead, sir. Director, would you like to stage?
Thank you so much, Director Dillera, for your presentation. It's an impressive range of programs that you do through the training center. And I wanted to ask a question on which programs and skills do you think transferable skills in your programs that apply to tourism professionals but also other industries, and which one would be more specific for tourism professionals, maybe not so relevant in other industries? What are the skills that are special and specific for tourism, and what are the transferable broad generic skills that are presented in different programs that you?
Thank you. We coming from a trade training center actually focuses on entrepreneurship skills building. We believe that the enterprise pathway itself, enterprise and the business functions that are extended by our are actually very much applicable to tourism, because we always believe that tourism is business. In the experience that I had in the communities, that there is no problem actually when we're talking about large companies, the medium enterprises or the large companies that are in the tourism sector. They can actually provide training programs themselves, but those in the communities, sometimes they actually go to the extent of just existing as tourism destination, but not looking so very much on how to operate it as an enterprise. I mean, some of them would only be giving, or sometimes would be giving away their products for free, or providing their services for free. But this is one thing that we would like to emphasize on them, based on the experience that we had, that they should really earn something from their services and their products, and knowing how to value, not only value but specifically price and cost them, how to market them, and what it actually encompasses different business functions are actually very important. Now, just to mention, business functions that we cover in PTTC are actually on business development, so that would cover marketing and sales and partnership. I think that's a very important component of any business, whether it's tourism or any industry. Another one would be finance and accounting. I think they should also learn how to do their cash flow, understand their budgeting and all that. Okay, because yes, it's part of business. Another one would be business operation itself. Even the human capital development. Who should compose? Because we've also seen in the community, like for example, they operate everything. They are the ones that produce. I mean, if we're talking about crafts, they produce the craft, they do the product development, they market it themselves. I mean, one single person, and do the books, the financial accounts, and everything themselves. So we would like also to encourage and let them understand that when it's really business, they should already have a number of people who are already working on it. And I think this actually brings me to what I was also mentioning early on. that we wanted to support these enterprises to go from local to global. I mean, starting local, I mean, just thinking about earning income for themselves or for their family to earning income for the community or even for the country because they are now part of the global value chain. And additional information or that additional advantage that they are part of the global value chain is that they're actually compelled to produce, on time and produce with quality. I also experienced sharing. I also experienced that some of our weavers or some of our bead makers during that time when I was still at the region no longer produce products when they already have money, when they already have harvest, something like that. So if they're already part of the global, global value chain, they're supplying larger companies, they're actually compelled to produce because there are deadlines. Okay, another thing is an example for quality. Some communities would insist on the colors they have, but when we talk about market-driven products, we have to follow, what the market requirements are. So things like those. Sometimes scary, sometimes trivial, but these are actually very important and very significant when we're talking about business.
Right, thank you, Director. Any other question? Dr. Panchal?
Director Dillera, it's always a pleasure to listen to you, and we appreciate your presence here this morning and for sharing such an insightful message to our attendees, both face-to-face and online. But I was very interested, I was very excited to see that one of your programs involves health and wellness tourism. That's one of the passions that I have as a PhD candidate in Australia. So my question is, how would you encourage Indigenous peoples to also apply the Indigenous ways of or alternative ways for wellness and healing and health and well-being? And what sort of trainings would you provide to Indigenous communities, if you do encourage them? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. I was actually looking at our consultant, Ms. Alma, for the health and wellness. But I'd like to, before we can, I can actually share the stage with using Alma to answer the health and wellness thing. But I'd like to look at the, indigenous health and practices, something like that, as a subtract. It can actually be a subtract of the health and wellness because we focus on what is already there. In terms of training, I think when we talk about health and wellness and when we talk about participation of the indigenous people on this, they have existing like we call it the vernacular, I don't know, hilog or something. But they still have other names for that. But I think there's how do you call that? There's a requirement by the Department of Health that they undergo a standard because it has something to do with the body. I mean, they will already touching the body. So that's I think very basic. But in addition to that, enhancing not only their skills, but the way they market, the way they brand, the way they operate their business is very important. I just remember, I don't know if it was also used for eyeglasses that I was talking to, or actually, personally, I actually love going to spa, but I always go to spa that has foreign name. I think you know that. The foreign name that's very much present in the Philippines. But I have also been hearing a lot of people that, Filipino or Pinoy Hilo is still the best. That the healing hands of the Filipinos are still the best. That's why, the services of the nurses abroad, etc., are still very much in demand. So I think a matter of packaging, but I think we also need an investor to start doing that. An investor that can have a chain of Pinoy healing hands nationwide, because if we just have it in one area, it will be very difficult to compete with an existing spa that is of international name, something like that. The second,
I think the concept of healing is preventive rather to the treatment. There are some experiences that we
use conventional medicine, and you talk about ultrasound and everything. But sometimes patients also need to look at their ancestors. Because I was telling you, this was at the topic of our conversation last night. I said, why should we limit the healing techniques to just the one? I remember growing up in the province and being asked to drink something when my stomach is hurting. I was telling them, I didn't die. I'm still alive. So that means there's a lot to be said because they learned all of these things from experience. And for me, whenever doctors, I work in a hospital. Whenever we ask about your symptoms, sickness, you're still the expert on what you feel. Sometimes we shouldn't allow people to tell us that chemicals are the only ones that can help us. Sometimes we also have to look at the faith that we have in those healing therapies. As I said, I work in the hospital, but in addition to taking all of those medicines if I have pains, I also use lana. That's our term for oil. Because I used to have the practice of my grandmother doing this lana sa candle and then eating it and then putting it, and it comforts me. So why shouldn't I use that with mefenamic acid? I mean, we don't have to look at it as either or. We look at healing therapies as conventional and complementary. Whatever works. After all, it's our body. If we feel well, who are doctors to argue with us on that respect? So for me, we should keep an open mind about all these things. And for the training, I hope that one day we will also be able to offer all of those things. I want really an acceptance of herbal medicine. And for me, that is the best way to lower the price of medicine, the way to build on our natural resources so that we use those healing therapies that suits rather than borrowing from the Western culture to heal us. Because who knows us better than ourselves? So that's my opinion.
Thank you so much. Looks like we have another question right over there. Can somebody please send the microphone?
I actually have two questions, no? But just a follow-up of what said regarding traditional healing. Until today, I really don't know how we really appreciated and even use or recognize traditional healing. The fact that until today, nakalagay pa rin sa mga ginagamit natin na no therapeutic claim, even if we already know that these traditional herbal medicines are very effective in curing us. Tapos, pupunta ka sa doctor, sasabihin mo, anong ginagamit mo pag tinanong ng doctor? You tell them that you are using this. Sabi niya, hindi pwede yan kasi wala pa yan therapeutic claim. So siguro yun, no, to encourage this, kasi sabi ni doktora, no, si ma'am kanina, na kung ano yung maganda at alam mong effective sa'yo, why don't you continuously use it? Pero walang encouragement actually sa medical aspects natin. So yun lang, no? But the other question also is, it has something to do with how do you draw the line between yung sinabi ni Ma'am kanina na you have to preserve, protect, sustain cultural heritage without destroying it, without what do you call this, without really going into cultural tourism na preserve mo pa rin yung kultura mo. Kasi ang nangyayari dito ngayon is sometimes we use culture to promote tourism. So where do you draw? Lagi ko narinig kasi let's always preserve, protect our cultural heritage. Pero wala yung paano na hindi ginagamit ito ng tourism sa economic aspect niya. Na talagang preserve talaga siya.
Alright, thank you for the question. Usek will answer the first one, but the second question we'll discuss later on within the panel discussion. Very interesting topic.
Researches now that provides the treatment. For example, in last year's conference, we featured Dr. Actually, Award. She's doing a lot of herbal and healing therapies. I think she came over to the teach some of the students. But we should have a mentality gathering physical information. Every time doctors will tell us it's not working. Say no, it's working because just like any clinical trial, for example, for vaccines, where you test it on so many people and all of these people, they said there's no negative effect. But what is that negative effect? It's also the feedback of the people. So why is it that we accept the statement of people about chemicals, but we will not accept the statement of people about therapy? So I think we should start with an open mind about that. But we should also have the discipline to report, because nobody will start those clinical trials until we say we are participating on this because we want to prove to you it's really work. And yes, and I think it's time that we have the discipline to gather this information and prove to everyone that this also works. So if chemicals work, other than therapies, because these are natural remedies. So that I think is something to work on, especially with the Department of Science. We should build data so that in the future, the non-therapeutic claims that they're saying, that's just a come out. That's just so that you some symptoms, or if some symptoms occur, they will not be faulted for that. That's why it's like a release waiver and claim. If you do this, it's at your own risk. But I don't know why. When in fact, many medicines with contraindications tell you this drug is bad for those who have lung problems. There's nothing there that says this does not affect, right? For those that are not really harmful to us, that's where they say that there's claims. So I think in the future, a solid evidence and research will make them take away those claims, because there are good. And I hope that that's one of the priorities of science.
Thank you so much. Later on, we're going to be able to introduce them, no? Na-preempt yung ating very interesting question, Madam. Later on, we're going to discuss. Even Director or Venus will have very interesting insights on this later on. So, watch out for what's going to happen in just about 5 more minutes. So you're enjoying your break, and you can, further have that 5-minute break na lang. Do your thing, toilet break perhaps. So 5-minute break muna tayo. Later on, I'm going to introduce amazing women. Reading their backgrounds, I thought I'm busy. I realized I've just been sleeping all this time because of their busyness and because of the things that they do for the Philippines. It's amazing. So watch out for that. There's going to be a presentation. Each of them will present something, and then we're going to have panel discussion. You can just open up your minds and ask questions, whatever comes in there. And if you have things that you'd like to be clarified, then tanong natin later. So for now, we'll have 5-minute break. I would also like to encourage everyone to sign up for our Eco Tour tomorrow. Winaca. I haven't been there, but I've heard so many more things about this place. Winaca Eco Cultural Village, I heard it's free. Yes, and you're gonna ride a jeepney. Vendors food. And we're gonna meet here at the Venus Parkview Hotel. Okay, so 5-minute break, ladies and gentlemen. And We'll see you in a bit.
We would like to welcome back all of you. To those who are here in the live audience, we are still in our fifth workshop on cultural tourism recovery with today's theme, Adaptation and Economic Diversification. For all of those who are tuning in Zoom and Facebook, welcome back. I hope you're enjoying our snacks at home. For those who are here, I hope you are enjoying the food of Venus Parkview Hotel here in Baguio City. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at the part where we have amazing ladies give us information perhaps we knew something about, but but they're here to present and elaborate and for us to learn and realize how important tourism is in the recovery after the COVID pandemic. And we already have a hanging question, and I can't wait to find out the answer for that. For our first presenter, one of the panelists for this morning is essentially one of the most amazing women I've ever known here in Baguio City, and here she is. A government career professional who has served for more than 35 years. Her career path would begin and end with the Philippine tourism industry. Her governance service started with the Philippine Tourism Authority, later renamed as Tourism Infrastructure Enterprises Zone Authority or TIEZA, as Senior Public Relations and Events Officer. In 1987, in a select group, she was handpicked to pioneer in what would be the Philippine Convention and Visitors Corporation or PCV. The Conventions and General Tourism Marketing and Promotions Implementing Arm of the Department of Tourism. Serving in the agency for 13 years as head of the Europe and Americas Department, she was later on appointed as DOT Tourism Attaché based in Frankfurt in Germany, whose work coverage was Central and North Europe. Duties later would require her to take on regional coverage of Europe, including Russia, as Regional Director for Europe, shuttling between DOT Frankfurt and London office. Her DOT overseas assignment culminated after 15 years, bringing marked significant interest and appreciation in the Philippines, growth of tourism arrivals from Europe, and the interest and the ushering of Russian and CIS, which is the former USS countries, leisure and MICE travel to the Philippines. Very interesting. In returning to the Philippines, she would be appointed as DOT Regional Director for the Cordilleras, serving in the region for 3 years. Rather short, but very fruitful. Within those 3 years, she would spearhead various sustainable programs to bring added value to tourism. We've experienced that. Notably, her Rev Bloom program, which saw a call to action in the preservation and revival of health and wellness, and established the first forest bathing lifestyle program. I hope you've experienced that concept in the Philippines. Saw the conservation and preservation of culture and heritage, environment, slow food, and slow travel as a strategic tourism promotion in the region. Notably, she would, together with like-minded individuals, initiate the application of Baguio City to the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. Thank you so much for this. Baguio City eventually would earn the distinction as the first in the Philippines to be designated as UNESCO Creative City under the category of crafts and folk arts. As fate would have it, she would come to full circle when she was promoted and sworn in as presidential appointee to head the Tourism Promotions Board, former PCBC, as Chief Operating Officer, overseeing and implementing strategic programs for the marketing and promotions of the entire country for 2 years. Serving on a career high note, she would opt for an early retirement. And yes, she is retired right now, but she's here with us, and return to the city she cherishes. She continues to pursue her passion and focuses primarily on sustainable programs in environment, culture, and heritage, and humanity engagement for the creative communities towards a more responsive and meaningful contribution to UNESCO SDGs as emergencies. And yes, she sleeps because she's still a beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only Venus
Teenager. Or Alma, work topic. I won't have tourism. No matter tourism, tourism, people um there was every look at the word retire. Every time and indeed. Yes, I'm back and I'm still working and passionately towards the advocacies that I've left as regional director. Having been appointed as regional tourism attaché abroad for 15 years, I was marketing the Philippines for 15 years in Europe. I knew all those 15 years what the market needed and what they wanted, what they expected. I was selling the Philippines. As a marketer, I would always really look back now and say, what are we really selling in the Philippines? Really? So, national, I was selling the whole gamut of beaches, mountains, etc., etc. Moving forward, I left that post 15 years. Very happy. I've had that experience that a lot of many people wouldn't have had, and I'm quite fortunate to have had that experience. But moving back here after 15 years living abroad, I am now in the market, now going to the product. So I felt that I knew what to sell. And so at that time, Secretary Jimenez was the Secretary of Tourism. And he said, I think you all still remember. I still remember what he said. He said, when you're traveling, if you're a traveler, it's not all about the scenic spots that you will see
or the beautiful terraces, the beautiful beaches that you see. What you will remember is who you were with. Who you were with. And that's how the slogan, more fun in the Philippines, was coined. It is more fun in the Philippines because the Filipino people are fun to be with. I think we're the most interesting lot in Southeast Asia, I would say, you know? We are a mixture of many influences that makes us so sociable. If you compare to Japan, Japanese, Koreans, they would cluster themselves together as groups. But the Filipinos, no. The first thing that a Filipino would ask is, how are you? Where do you come from? That's always the first question. Because the Filipino immediately wants to strike friendship, a conversation. And to me, my thinking is this. When I was regional director, I said, let us now market who we are in CAR, who we are. We have always marketed beach. The Philippines has always been known as an archipelago with beautiful beaches. Everybody knows that na. Everybody knows that. We are globally known for beautiful beaches. But nobody, not a lot of people know that we have such rich culture. I've always said, tourism is all about storytelling. And we have a lot of stories to tell. Even a simple beadwork here in the Cordilleras has something to tell. It has a story behind the colors. A fabric in CAR has a story to tell. Even in Mindanao, they have a story to tell. And that is part of our culture. And to me, I knew that this is going to be a challenge. But you see, having come from Europe, culture is what they were looking for. Make no mistake, it is culture and experience and people that they were looking for. And to me, the Cordilleras is positioned to be marketed as such. And so I went on to look at our product, and I went on to other provinces and I said, let us not compete amongst each other. Let us all complement. Everybody would say, I have the best cave. Sagada would say, I have the best cave. No. The Kapala would say, no, we have better caves. You know, everybody is talking about that. And I said, no, look at what exactly is your unique proposition. And that's where we should position you. Do not compete, complement. We should look at not a single province, but an entire Cordillera. That's how we should see how we can market ourselves. And so, this is how we were doing, and that's how I was moving towards really strengthening culture tourism in the Cordilleras. And I said, you know, the Cordilleras, our cuisine is not known. Mindanao, Visayas, Central Luzon, all their cuisines are known. It was a shame. When I go to the Banana Rice Terraces, they would serve me spaghetti. I go to Banawe Hotel, and that's what they would serve. I was very angry. And I said, that's not what you should be doing. You should really look into the cuisine of the mountains. You should look at alcohol in the rice paddies. You know, make use of that. Hiniin. All of that has to come forward. All it needs is presentation. So these are the things that I thought would spur how culture would be promoted. And I said, this is part of our culture. So slowly, we started to look at cuisine, and I started to partner with Slow Food International. Slow Food International gives you an appreciation of what is culture in cuisine, and appreciation of all the ingredients in a certain locale. Slow food, ergo, slow travel. So I said, people that come to the Cordilleras have to meet people, have to experience food, have to experience craft. So we were starting to initiate slow travel, slow food. So to me, I talk about this because it is essentially the soul of this region. There was a question earlier about how. I will discuss this after towards the end of my talk, because this is now what I'm doing. We talk about a lot of things, and I initiated also wellness. You know, Baguio. Here, I was talking about Baguio, what it was, the city. Everybody says, oh yeah, it's the summer capital. You know why it's summer capital? Because during the hot summer months, the Americans would make Baguio as their capital, hence summer capital. But that was not the important thing. The important thing is that the Americans came here for rest and recreation and wellness. We had a lot of hospitals, a lot of sanitariums here in Baguio because all the Americans were dying in the lowlands. They would come here to rest. They would come here. Baguio was a hill station. It was one of the best hill stations in Southeast Asia. So a lot of people from Hong Kong, from Singapore would come here to vacation. A lot of people would talk about the hill station of Baguio and its healing properties. So, when I was regional director, I said, okay, enough with the hospitals and the sanitariums, but we would do natural healing. I didn't invent this, but I said the properties, the natural properties of this place is present. Shinrin Yoku is a Japanese healing lifestyle. It is walking through forested areas where you actually imbibe the natural oils and distresses you. So, we put up the first forest bathing area in the Philippines, in Baguio, in Johnny. Because I felt that reviving wellness in a natural way and going back to history ties this all up. So we have now a forest bathing area where people go. And mind you, it was the most relevant during the pandemic. Because it was open air and everybody needed to breathe. So, I think, to me, if I tie it up with culture, these are one of the things that can be adopted in various provinces all over the Cordilleras. The forest is healing. The forest is healing. And what is the ulterior motive there? Do not cut trees. It's also preservation. Because the moment you feel that the forests are good for you, it's good for your health, wag mo nang putulin. It's also conservation. So it was part of that plan. So it was environment, it was conservation and preservation. To me, that was very important for this. A lot of programs adopted under the Red Bloom campaign. It was not a marketing or promotions campaign. It was a call to action. It was a call to action for people to become aware of the environment, of the culture, reviving all of that, because it draws interest. People are drawn to that. And so, pandemic. Pandemic was a disruption, global disruption. Number one hit, the tourism industry. That brought us down to our knees. But how we are so resilient. I think that we should be proud of that. You know, I spoke in one of a forum, ICC, I think I still remember this, and the topic was how recovery would be. And I said, to recover, we have to step back. This is a time when you build your product. Product development was essential in the time of pandemic. Because there, you will start putting things together so that after the pandemic, boom, market agad. So that was the idea. But then, what was that? I was appointed as COO, Tourism Promotions Board. That is the marketing and promotions arm of the Department of Tourism. So I was overseeing marketing and promotions of the entire Philippines. I was inspired by my mentors, of course, when you said Alma had inspired me in a lot of ways. So my marketing strategies were very simple. I said, let's not do hard sell. Let's do soft sell, soft power. Let us focus on the Philippines' strength, and that is our people, our culture, our heritage. I looked at that as a marketing soft power initiative to gain more interest into the Philippines. And to me, it had worked a lot because there was a time when Yusek Alma said, let's look at rivers. And sure enough, culture started in rivers, in waterways, right? So we look at all these rivers, and there are thriving communities in these rivers. What beautiful rivers and what beautiful communities, all doing cultural things. And that was one of the things that I thought would bring tourism and interest to many, many regions. Not just beach, but added value. All added value. And so, to me, it's all about us. Every story that we have to say is something that's interesting. Now, after the pandemic, zero. Everything changes. The paradigm has shifted. Now, tourism is all about encounter. It's all experiential. It's all about immersion. And what better way to immerse yourself? People that go traveling now, they don't stay in hotels anymore. I'm sorry, Venus Hotel. They don't stay in 5-star hotels anymore. And that's the reason why you have Airbnbs. Why? Because they want to experience what is natural, what is people, what is food that's being served by common people. What are they looking at now? They want to see butterflies. This is what they want to experience. They want to see how to weave, how to make baskets. It's experiential travel. Even the rich people, luxury. They call it barefoot luxury. Can you imagine? That term was never coined. Barefoot luxury. Rich people want to experience nature at its best. Lie down in a mossy forest, and you can see all these birds, exotic birds. That's luxury for them now. And that's how travel is now changing. It has changed dramatically. What we know then is different now. But we had prepared. You see, we had prepared because we said experience is the key. And so, today I'm retired but not quite tired. Because Baguio is a UNESCO created city, It is part of the SDGs of the United Nations. It is one of the 17 SDGs, actually, number 11, creative cities. And so UNESCO said creativity will spur economic growth, and it will, as part of the Agenda 2030, alleviate poverty. And so creativity becomes a catalyst for economic development and help for our industry. We have a lot of creative industries. And so now I said, let's put more meaning. We're on the 5th year of our being designated as UNESCO Creative City. I was one of the pioneers in that, thank you. And I said, let's put more meaning and make sure that we focus on our crafters and artisans. And hence, we now at present have a creative hub. It's called Harvest. Harvest is an acronym. It is an acronym for Heritage and Artisanship Reimagined as a vehicle for economic growth, sustainability, and technology. It is a hub where our artists can come. It is a hub where you can incubate innovation and creativity. So I see some of our weavers here who are also being helped by Harvest. These are one of the products now at the Harvest. Look at that. It's beautiful. These people, all our crafters, have skills, and they're doing this, and we're premiering all their works on the 19th and 20th. If you are available, Session Road is going to be transformed into a runway where their works will be shown and designed by famous designers also. We are incorporating the designers in Manila and in the Cordilleras and putting all their works together. So we're bringing this together. Next, please. Yeah, that's the invite actually. So they're telling me my time is up. I should have 1 hour. But yes, culture. Madam, let me just answer that question of how to preserve culture. The hub is now partnering with the school because Baguio City is a creative city. Some of the schools now are adopting creativity into their curriculum. The hub, as I always said, you know our weavers, they're all women, and of course we're all aging too, but the children don't want to weave. The children don't want to carve. How do we preserve this? We must make sure, and it's a challenge that we face, we must make sure that our kids will have a better appreciation of our craft because I've always said, our crafts in the Cordilleras are the soul of our own culture. It's also going to preserve our culture and heritage. And so we're partnering with schools so that the members of Harvest, member crafters of Harvest, their deserving children can go to a scholarship with schools that have creativity. So that this hub now become a shared space with schools, the academics in school, and the practicality that they can experience in the hub. And so I hope I answered at least that particular. I think to me, preserving the culture starts with our young. We must make sure that our children appreciate our craft. I remember, I think this is also part of your experience. When your children will come to you and say, Mama, I want to do painting. Anak, wag ka na mag-paint, wag ka na, because walang pera dyan. You know, we have to change that mindset and make sure that our children will take on the crafts that they will inherit from all of you. So I am encouraging. I see a lot of crafters here, my weavers are here too. So this is an encouragement. So this is a call also that is part of our preservation and conservation of heritage. And so I am asked to step down now because I think my time is up. Thank you very much. I am here helping preserve and conserve our culture.
Thank you so much. That is Ms. Maria Venus Parkview, ladies and gentlemen. Well, she should have the whole day. You can listen to you the whole day, ma'am. Very interesting topic.
But we're gonna have you in the panel later on, with the other three ladies that we have for this morning. Now, we'd like to call on the second panelist, and I'd like to introduce her first. She's a restaurateur by profession and an entrepreneur by experience. She has been operating Ibai's Cafe and Pastry, so carrot cake, in Baguio City for nearly 2 decades now, and in the course of her work, she sought to feature products native to the Cordillera as a means to instill pride among the people of the region. She also is operating 2 canteen concessions at the Ateneo de Manila University in Quezon City. As product of parents hailing from the towns of Sagada and Isao in Mountain Province, Ms. Lucia has imbibed a deep respect and understanding of the culture to which she belongs. In her current role as General Manager for NARDA's Research and Design Office, she brings the same vitality and energy in keeping her mother's legacy alive. She taps at the core of the NARDA's enterprise, ensuring that local weavers find gainful employment and raise the status of their practice as art and expression of culture. Her exposure to weaving and technology, coupled with an appreciation for nature, has also steered the brand toward producing Narda's Naturals, a line of eco-friendly garments and home apparels. In the coming years, she hopes to develop a handicraft center at her family's Winaca estate, where people can learn weaving, natural dyeing, basketry, wood carving, and other arts common to the people of the Cordillera. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking on behalf of Ms. Lucia Catanes, you know it, pronounce it well. Please welcome the daughter of Ms. Lucia Catanes, Ms. Jamie Catanes. Thank you, welcome.
And I areas now develop tourism, the tax so good morning everyone, and thank you for having me for this year to represent your own businesses and community. It's always a pleasure to learn from others, especially those who are in our line of work. Allow me first to express my gratitude to the organizers for this invitation to share a bit about our business and our family behind it. I'm humbled to contribute to our discussion on adaptation and economic diversification and share more about our business and how we focus on cultural preservation through these times. Our family comes from the towns of Basao and Sagada, as mentioned earlier, Mountain Province in the Cordilleras. Here, ritual life is still observed, and that it continues to revolve around the agricultural cycle. Because our lifestyle is rooted in tradition, we always carry with us a distinct sense of who we are and where we are from. Any attempt at cultural heritage preservation must perhaps begin with this process of knowing and understanding who we are, because that is, in essence, a way for us to know what we value and what we wish to share with others. Tourism, as I have experienced it, is not only a means for us to participate in business, but fundamentally, it has become an approach that allows us to invite others to take part in our culture. So here are a few pictures of Winaca. So this was during the opening of the site. And here are founders. That's Marga Kapuyan on the left and Wilson Kapuyan on the right. And leading actually with Lord Marga is her mother on the top left picture. So for Winaca, located in Tublay, Benguet, my father, Wilson Kapuyan, began to till the land in the mid-1980s. He grew Washington navel oranges first. Washington navel oranges first out of the belief that the land ought to be used rather than left alone. Throughout the 90s, he continued to experiment through the cultivation of different fruit-bearing trees as well as hardwood. Our family would be engaged in different tree planting activities where we sowed seedlings of Nara, mahogany, and pine. These early days of the farm were an investment that we would later see the returns of as our property developed into a green area fit for relaxation and wellness. Another plant my dad cultivated was the rattan vine, and incidentally, this is where the name Winaca drew inspiration from. It is in our local Cantanay language, Winaca is a verb that refers to the action of interweaving rattan to form a basket. My parents would modify this name to reflect the first two letters of their names and our last name, as in Wilson, Na, Narda, and Kapuyan. Winaca. So the farm came to be called Winaca, and as in weaving baskets, many things came together to bring it to what it is now. Once we got a hold of what we were doing, our forests became home to three sections of plants. First, the anthuriums. So first, the anthuriums, which were originally Hawaiian reds, but later we would import a variety from the Netherlands. Second, the Arabica variety of coffee that favors the highlands and is rich in flavor. At some point, we noticed wild civets on the property that would consume our coffee beans and produce for us the less common civet cat coffee. Third were the trees and vines, pine, nara, mahogany, and rattan. The greener the grounds got, the closer we were to realizing our vision of what we want our farm to be. We wanted to be a cultural village, but also an ecological one where it is conscious of nature, and it is nature that informs how we work. Through our efforts at Winaca, we started to contribute to nation building by widening the circle of our own community, because we believe that it is in communion with others that one feels bound to them. That is why in our grounds, you will find old ignorant houses that have been restored and renovated for rent and for display purposes. Originally, actually, my father moved the traditional house from Sagada that he was born in to Winaca as a means to preserve the structure and lifestyle that he's alive. However, the move has come to have new meaning as our houses are displayed to remind visitors that they have a home in our community. So tomorrow, you'll also see the Sagada house, which was originally where my mother was born in. We also welcome people to sit in what is known as the lapay, or the assembled stone structure of seats set in a circle. By doing so, they come to be part of our everyday of moments in our lives as we work when we gather as a community and make decisions for the benefit of all. Putting up Winaca as a business was far from our minds at the beginning. My father only laid the foundations, and to this day he continues to strengthen them as he partners with different people to develop the property. My mother, Narda Kapuyan, on the other hand, has been immersed in cultural work from the beginning. She was a family planning nurse who encouraged women to weave in order to earn a living. She was resourceful and entrepreneurial, and the weaving business that she nurtured, Narda's, which she originally began in the Trinidad Benguet, came to be housed in Winaca. The factory is housed on a portion of the farm where visitors can watch marvelous viewers at work. As interest in local products and woven textiles began to boom again, we included viewing demonstrations in our services and made it a point to display looms whenever we have visitors. We have found that allowing guests a glimpse of how particular things are made in our traditional way encourages them to appreciate the effort that comes into the production of items that are sometimes deemed of lesser quality or cheaper because they are local handicrafts. Visitors who have done weaving demonstration sessions in Winaca are less likely to haggle with weavers over prices, but more importantly, they develop a visual literacy for the different types of weaving done in the Cordilleras. Apart from weaving, we have also hosted a series of Cordillera-inspired games and showcased basket weaving for those interested to learn. Winaca is also a venue for the Cordillera-inspired version of the Amazing Race, where teams were made to visit seven stations and engage in traditional activities such as pounding rice, pyramid with shaft, and using a basket to shake off excess stones and dirt from the rice. They were also made to till the land and prepared for vegetable planting, peel sweet potatoes for boiling, and navigate our eco trail, peel rice grains by hands, and chop firewood. It felt so wonderful to share something of our culture with our visitors and see them eagerly participate in the activities. Immersing our visitors in the ways of our people has proven that tourism is not just about making money, but rather making connections and telling our stories. As a country that prides itself in having so many islands, diversity is our strength, and there's so many stories told by all our people. We have a variety of cultures woven into one nation, and to grasp the whole, avenues like for tourism can be used to understand its parts. At Winaca, we try to marry this cultural sharing with the modern necessities of hospitality and travel. When our guests arrive at our facility, they find clean rooms, beds, baths, locally sourced and native food, and a setting that allows them to disconnect and be in touch with nature. The canopy of trees, the sight of flowers, and the sound of birds in the morning forms an ideal backdrop for relaxation. This is perhaps why we have come to be known as a good venue for team building sessions, which obviously I think during COVID. But in this space, you're able to bond more effectively in a space that also is peaceful and in my own experience of working at Winaca, I stood on the foundation that my parents built and brought with me a passion for cooking, as well as my years managing the former Hotel Dillera in Baguio to expand the farm's amenities to include serving hot meals, renting out rooms and cottages to individuals groups. When the Dillera closed down, many of our clients looked for the same services elsewhere, and they challenged Winaca to fill the void. Soon people availed of our services, including several couples about to be wed, chose our green grounds for their prenuptial pictorials and their wedding celebrations that followed. I would not have imagined all those years ago that Winaca would be what it is today. Like others, our endeavor started as visual thinking, and eventually the faith brought us here, aided by hard work and because we took the time to do things right. It still is a work in progress. For me, cultural heritage preservation needs both knowledge of the culture it is trying to preserve, as well as the kind of visionary leadership exhibited by my parents, who saw a piece of land and transformed it into a living and breathing space where the ignorant traditions could exist in harmony and be shared with the nation. So apart from the crops planted all those years ago, we have now begun to cultivate organic lettuce, wheatgrass, and strawberries. The plants found in our property have also been used as dyeing agents for the new natural slime harness, as mentioned earlier, an innovation we have worked on in honor of our founder who passed away in 2016. It's at Winaca where our team are responsible for experimenting dyeing not only for different colors but with the different kind of plant fibers available for production. The possibilities are endless, and as we are pulling from culture, that is no surprise. We are constantly evolving as a brand, as Igorots, and as Filipinos, but through that, we strive to maintain in Winaca that ours is a place for recreation and relaxation, a place where people can come to reconnect with nature and feel rooted in indigenous tradition that we can all appreciate as Filipinos. Thank you and good day.
Thank you, Ms. Jamie. It's nice to meet you. And we hope to have you later here at the panel to answer some questions from our audience. So, napaka-interesting, no? So I encourage everybody tomorrow, if you're free naman, join us sa Winaca. Very interesting. Right? Please register. Doon po sa registration desk natin sa likod. Maraming po salamat, Jamie. We'll see you later. Now, for our third panelist, last but definitely not the least, she's a former undersecretary, transitioned from private sector to public service when she was invited to join the team of the DOT Secretary Wanda Tufo-Teo. Remember her, to head the tourism regulations, coordination, and resource generation, including standards, investments, industry manpower development, and regional operations. She spearheaded the review of the accreditation standards and processes through implementation of the progressive accreditation system. She initiated the strategic value mapping to set the program direction and implementation for TRCRG. She has ably represented the DOT and ASEAN National Tourism Organizations meetings, PIMP IAG Joint Development Cluster meetings, the Cabinet Assistance System, and NEDA, among others. She was also given the opportunity to represent DOT in both ASEAN and the APEC. Many of the policies and programs she espoused during her term, among them the rehabilitation and rejuvenation of Hintuan River or the Enchanted River in Boracay. Undersecretary Jimenez first involvement in the tourism industry was through her pioneering work in the medical tourism initiatives in the country, co-founding the first formally organized medical tourism association in the country and serving as its first president. She served as the president of the first Philippine Tourism Congress, a tourism body founded and organized in accordance with RA 9593 or Tourism Act of 2009 and counted among its member associations 69 national and regional tourism organizations in various segments of tourism activities. She helped organize the global leadership initiatives for sustainable tourism dedicated to the advocacy for sustainable tourism development. Among that and many others she's involved with, and she's a very, very busy individual. We thank God for her. And now, with us, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you our third panelist, Undersecretary Alma de los Reyes Jimenez. A round of applause, please.
I think it's already lunchtime. It's really difficult to compete. But wherever you are now as workshop participants today, thanks all differences and all of you. I wish you all a pleasant day. I hope you are finding these insights being presented worth the valuable time you have set aside to join us in this exchange of ideas. Thank you, Doctors Jenny and Dennis, for your invitation. I will frame my discussion by borrowing a quotation from a well-known management guru, Peter Drucker, who said that culture is strategy for breakfast. In the corporate world, it is a recognition that no matter how good your strategies are, the values, attitudes, standards, beliefs
shared by the organization, collectively termed culture, will be a critical determinant to its success and fate. If these shared values, attitudes, standards, and beliefs are resistant to the strategy, then leaders know they will be difficult to get off the ground. I find this resonant in tourism. No matter how good we are at crafting marketing strategies, at promoting destinations, we can only get as far as the willingness of the people in the communities to share their spaces and their places. And that will be felt in the warmth of their welcome and their hospitality, or the lack of it. Because who wants to go to a place where they will not be welcome? I was listening to the earlier presentations of our distinguished speakers, and I am truly impressed with the work they are doing in highlighting cultural tourism. Those programs are remarkable, and there is good potential to attract tourists to come and experience these activities themselves. The challenge is getting these stories heard in a world tourism marketplace filled with tourism vendors shouting at the top of their voices. A tight, crowded, competitive arena where the noise decibels can drown the messages. I know you can imagine this in your head, even clearly visualize it. That happens when there are more sellers than buyers, like the present times. Maybe I will resolve this. The pandemic experience is an eye-opener. Countries realize just how important the contributions of the tourism industry and its long value chain are in the national, regional, and global economies. What used to be a high-demand theater and slump with its worst record, with an average of 75 to 80% reduction in international arrivals as 2021 ended. The famous Portobello market in UK is a good study in contrast. People then could barely walk in the crowd of tourists until the lockdowns emptied the streets. This 2022, tourism is beginning to pick up, and we see the rising number of travelers doing what we coined as revenge travel, an overwhelming need to go out and see the world and make up for the shut-ins in the past 2 years. But the rise is slow, and as yet, there are more sellers than buyers. The news is filled with stories of how countries are preparing for tourism, how safe it is to travel to their destinations. That means the competition to entice the travel market is tight. So everyone wants to attract tourists to get back the numbers they used to enjoy, to be back to how it used to be. But the important question is, to what do we want to go back to? Not too long ago, you will recall that there were already voices steadily rising and a number of destinations taking steps to stem over tourism. Too many visitors congested their narrow, ancient streets, their places of worship, the restaurants they regularly patronize, and even when tourists come in groups, they themselves didn't even find accommodation for their close relatives visiting. The anti-tourism sentiment was an open manifestation of the communities and residents' attempts to take back their cities and take back their lives. And the Guardian captured this in its statement. It's paradoxical, but uncontrolled mass tourism ends up destroying the very things that make a place attractive in the first place, the unique atmosphere of the local culture. Then the pandemic happened, and sometimes one will wonder if the saying, "Be careful what you wish for," is actually a real warning. On a hindsight, the global health crisis gave destinations and their communities the chance to breathe again. Because we turned inward and when the lockdowns happened, we looked around and saw with renewed interest our local treasures that began to recover from their stressful tourism past. The fear of exposure to infection caused the return to open spaces, to appreciate the more sedate pace, to leisurely commune with nature that gave us all a chance to breathe away from our face masks. The enforced confinement in our homes with only a small circle to talk with, and most of them are glued to their gadgets anyway, it made us eager to discover more about the communities and listen with interest to their stories. Would you believe I only got to know my neighbors in 2 decades during the pandemic? I never got to meet them, it's true. After living there in our place for decades, many families in the urban cities opted to go back to their hometowns. Many families in the urban cities opted to go back to their hometowns and start over in their birthplaces and reconnect with familiar places and faces. Their children will have the chance to trace their roots, their interest is stimulated by local stories that pique cultural curiosity. This is the best time to solidify this interest into a push factor to venture out and actually experience the narrative. This is the best time to make the culture centerpiece of tourism offering because who we are and what we have is something that can only be experienced where we are. Cultural tourism can be the unique touch point for both domestic and international market. Culture finds tangible expression in a country's beliefs and traditions, value systems and lifestyles. And this can be seen and felt in its arts and architecture, historical and cultural heritage, culinary heritage, literature, music, and in the way of life. Yet culture is dynamic, and this is partly to answer also the question, Nita. It evolves with various influences. It is not static because it keeps getting woven into living tapestry that is handed down from generation to generation. What we now consider as modern living may become historical saga when recalled 50 years from now. It's in this constant evolution that gives culture its special character. In that respect, each country has a unique culture. Maybe we find similarities, but it will always have facets that cannot be replicated. Cultural tourism, therefore, is not only a segment of tourism. It underpins all tourism offerings. Everything we do is animated by our culture in the way we welcome visitors, in the food we serve, in the activities and the events that we plan, in our festivals, in our markets. It cannot just be a tourism product because culture is our way of life. Cultural tourism has the capacity to cascade benefits of a robust travel market and make it inclusive so that communities can partake in the economic development. Crafts, arts, heritage, sites, festivals, all these can generate and sustain employment and livelihood, protect the environment and destinations, and celebrate the indigenous culture. The goal of inclusive development can be attainable if we are able to address critical challenges such as the need to balance profits and economic gains with maintaining cultural integrity. There is the danger of commoditizing culture and manufacturing heritage practices by staging events because it sells, even though they are hanging by a thread in the cultural fabric. Commoditizing culture diminishes authenticity and disrespects our history. Next, adhering to the defined carrying capacity to conserve our heritage sites, preserve the treasures of the destination, and protect the environment. We overpack them with tourists. Third, tourism is just one of the industries that can be undertaken, but it is not and it must not be the only one. There is the danger of promoting mono-economy, where there is too much dependency on tourism at the expense of other industries. When crisis imperils this mono-industry, there is lack of viable alternative that can be tapped as a fallback position. And this was seen in pandemic, when many tourism-dependent businesses fell because there was no other viable alternatives to offer. Finally, tourism drives the cost of living for local residents because they now need to compete with visitors that drive the prices of commodities up. This gentrification of tourism areas can limit the supply for local consumption, and that affects the quality of life of the community. Instituting a policy framework that will address these challenges will enable destinations to adequately prepare for the requirements of cultural tourism. Recalling the words of Peter Drucker that culture is a strategy for breakfast, steps can be taken to calibrate the growth of tourism numbers so that the value of cultural tourism can be maximized. After all, culture is what sells, authentic culture that is. So culture and strategy should therefore eat breakfast together. We need to take steps so that we honor and respect who we are and where we come from, yet recognize that we also continuously evolve. We learn from cultural exchanges that are now made more accessible with the enhanced mobility of people. Being anchored to our roots gives us a sense of identity in a world where the traditional and the digital are fusing. And workshops like this can provide inputs that we can consider in planning our cultural tourism offering in a sensible, creative, productive, and sustainable manner. The pandemic has given us a chance to rediscover what has been largely underappreciated for the longest time: nature and culture. We can use this as a guide in diversifying our tourism offering to showcase our unique attributes, where both can be fused into a blended travel experience. Nature and culture is the green and gold that can be potentially transformed into a lucrative tourism product offering. Green and gold is symbolic. They bring to mind the shifts of the season from spring and summer to fall. They evoke freshness, vibrancy, warmth, before it turns mellow, restful, relaxing, and cool. Green and gold is complementary. The young that matures gracefully and the active that decelerates into leisurely, the stamina that melts into serenity. Green are those tourism activities that allow feeling the beat of the mountain air as you trek through the trails. This is a splash of water in your face as you go rafting, and it is riding the waves of the ocean as you go rock diving. Green is enjoying the planting season, walking through rows and rows of vegetable plots and coffee plants, and taking part in the harvesting and picking and enjoying them at the lunch table. And when those weary bones creak like mine, and the body grows at the slightest activity, we turn cold. We start to really absorb the atmosphere of the places we visit and see with new eyes the many interesting facets of lives in the community. We revisit our history, our cultures and traditions, and walk down the memory lane as we forest path in Baguio. Every now and then exclaiming, do you remember this? And goal is taking the time to experience various cultures and see the similarities that are woven in the fabric of each tradition we celebrate. It is a delight to see them enshrined in museums because it puts us in touch with our past and connects us to our future. Goal is traveling in search of our identity and to rediscover our faith, the calmness of the sacred places, the devotion in the eyes of the faithful, and the hope in the sea of faces that tells us like no other the journey of pilgrims ever present in every one of us. Goal is the search for cure and relief from aches and pains, of comfort, rest, and relaxation, of letting our body drain the stress and the weariness, so that we come out rejuvenated and ready to face the world again. Green and gold is a travel experience we can configure beautifully. It is a combination that will allow the entire family to enjoy its multiple dimensions together. It can be packaged as a family journey that provides quality time and bond more strongly with the immersion that such a commune and commute with nature and culture will allow. Green and gold are examples of how tourism can be transformed for travelers. Eat, love, pray. Travel, enjoy, respect. Green and gold will not be as destructive to our destinations and will teach protection of our environment. They engage the mission-oriented market because they do not exact a high price that the damaged biodiversity can cause. They do not intrude into the peaceful life of the communities. They blend it. Green and gold provides inclusive development that the community can share. It is sustainable and but profitable as well. It's win-win because it will give us a chance to preserve, protect, and project culture and tourism assets meaningfully and inclusively. But the more important reason is humanity's moral and ethical imperatives to be stewards of our legacies, where culture and environment are two critical components. By what we do, we can create value and growth without the oftentimes damaging consequences of unbridled appetite for economic gains. It is time. Culture is that unique differentiation. It personalizes the experience of a destination. It gives the place character because without culture and symbolisms, any destination becomes just another photo. Awesome to behold, but forgotten when you see the next big one. And come to think of it, many of the iconic destinations and oft-visited sites were or are invariably part of cultural and spiritual journeys undertaken. Because travelers break bread with their host countries, tourism is a means to change perspectives, to promote understanding, accept diversity in culture and beliefs. It can play a potential role as a bridge to enabling peace. We can weave into our cultural fabric the strands of our and like it enough so that they do this over and over again. Culture will allow us to bring our legendary hospitality to the fore and help develop global pride and a sense of identity among our people. So let the cultural tourism therefore create thematic experiences, enable exchanges, and become constant reminders that we live in a great region with a great tourism future. Formative and transformative cultural tourism make us into what we are today. And we must learn to use this wisely as a leverage to define our unique identity as a nation, as people. We do this to leave a heritage that the generation next can celebrate. And who knows, they may even immortalize what we have now in their museums in the distant future. So let's do this together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yusek, Alma Jimenez. Thank you for that very poetic and symbolistic presentation. I enjoyed listening to that while sipping my coffee. Nakakatawa. Thank you for Yusek. And now, I know it's lunchtime but not yet. I hope na busog kayo kanina sa snacks natin because we're going to do lunch a little bit later because panel discussion is right up next. So may I invite our strong, powerful, and dynamic panelists to the stage. May I invite Ms. Venus Maritan, sorry. Venus, please, up on stage. A round of applause, please. Welcome natin sila sa stage. Ms. Jamie Catanes, Ms. Ibay, please come up on stage. And of course, Yusek Marita de los Reyes Jimenez, Madam, up on stage. And we would also like to invite our keynote speaker, Executive Director Nelly, Nita, Dillera, once again up on stage. So I'm going to be the one moderating this. Yours truly, Dr. Nita. And I'm going to be helped by not only me. Alright? And help me. So, to all of our viewers online, we are still here at Venus Parkview Hotel here in the city of Baguio, Creative City. We are now on our question and answer portion, and we have our panelists up here on stage to answer all the three. Do you have questions from our audience? First of all, I would like to ask if our first madam, ito po ang unang tatanungin. Simulan ko na po. Nasagot po ba yung tanong kanina na mention ni Ma'am Venus, yung inyong sagot? Sino microphone?
We can just
Ako na lang po.
Sa'yo na po yung sa'yo.
Nasagot po ba ang tanong? Nasatisfy po ba kayo?
Meron pa rin mga Okay. By the way, sa po ako and we do cultural protocols. Ang ginagawa namin mga trainings and workshops para hindi magkaroon ng mga ginagawang open ang starvation, mga cultural expressions. Medyo confusing lang kasi yung discussion ni Ma'am kanina. Let me quote po yung mga sinasabi. The constant evolution gives culture its appeal and unique character. So when you talk of evolution, ito yung evolving na part ng culture natin. So when you talk of evolving, you're encouraging actually yung pagkakaroon ng changes. So I'm not purist. Hindi po ako purist. No? But the constant evolution keeps on parang nawawala na. Nawawala na yung kultura natin because we allow it. Especially kasi now is the digitalization age. So makikita natin na the young ones seemingly are not anymore interested with learning the culture. Kakaroon na tayo ng our elders are not even encouraged anymore to pass on the tradition to the young ones. But for as long as andito pa yung mga elements ng kultura yun, yun pa rin ang really preserved. That's the reason why you said the danger of commoditizing culture diminishes authority and disrespect of our heritage. So there are 2 points here. Yung constant evolution and yet yung preservation so that we continue to respect our heritage. So doon yung doon yung nakikita natin na parang hindi magkatugma. We say, let's respect our cultural heritage. Let's preserve. Let's not commodify it. And yet, because cultural tourism encourages commodification, parang gano'n, no? And because we want to encourage more tourism in IP communities, nako-commodify yung aspekto ng kultura. So, doon lang yung kahit natanong ko, mga contrast dito sa mga. So, how?
Yeah, thank you. But we are talking here of different matters. I was talking about the culture being the result of evolution. When I'm saying that for centuries, every time some developments will come, something will be injected into the culture. So what you see today as a culture is actually a convergence of all of the history that we have, the influences, the colonization, all of the things that are happening in our lives that influence some of our traditions, that changed some of the things that we do. And of course, if our ancestors are not already there's a new way of life also that is coming in for those who are following those generations. So in a way, the culture is always evolving because as we absorb these influences, as we look at the political events, for example, or the things happening in the world, as we look at technology, as we look at new data and new science that comes out, it gets imbibed into the culture. And so there are changes. So it's constantly evolving and dynamic. And that's why we see the need to come and preserve it. And you see it in museums, you see it in history books, you see it in the way we recount our stories to our children. That's the way that we preserve our culture. But it's inevitable. Whether we like it or not, our culture will evolve because the influences will be there. And we will not always be here forever to inform our young ones or the generations next of what our culture was all about. So that's why it's very important. Recording is very important. Museum is very important. Arts and crafts, because they are our form of communication to the next generation. Because when we leave this world and the generation next follows, they might forget us. And that's the continuity that I was talking about. So I'm just talking about culture as something dynamic, but that also gives it its unique flavor. Because our experiences are never the same with the experiences of other countries. So in a way, our culture, what we are today, is a fusing of all of the influences that has done the past. So it's not really saying that we need to change, but rather it's an explanation why we have the unique culture. And I agree with you. When I talk about commodification, it's manufacturing culture. That's what it will sell. Commercializing it and then making it, in short, it's what I would call exploiting culture so that that is something that, to the point of manufacturing stories so that you can invite tourists around. I don't think that will sell because we want to see authentic culture. We want to see authentic community living and not just manufactured ones. Because if I want that, I will just go inside Disneyland where there are so many manufactured cultures.
That's right. Very well said, you say. Napakalinaw. And I appreciate that the government and people like that are proactively combating the effects of other influences aside from the ones that are regional already. So, na-address nila, nakakagawa naman. Would you like to add something on that, ma'am?
Yes. In many aspects, I think communication is the key. Sometimes we react immediately. For instance, there are many issues that really touches on sensitive cultural appropriations, things like that. And to me, for instance, they talk about this fabric that's not supposed to be worn this way and so on. But sa akin, sometimes it could be our fault. It might be that we did not communicate this. It's not their fault. So I think it is vital for us. Technology is already there. And it's so easy now to communicate. And to me, I think the evolution of culture goes within these bounds as well. But you see, all of us can communicate. And if it's our fault that we are not able to communicate what our culture is, what is to be worn, what is not to be worn, what is not to be mended, what is not to be danced, that's our fault, I think. So I think this is a give and take way of expressing each other. We want people to appreciate us, but we need to educate them how to appreciate us. I think that is important.
Right. Very nice. I agree with you 100%. No? So yes, ma'am. Nandiyan pa po yung microphone.
Yes, thank you, Venus. I think that's the word, no? Meron naman tayong communication. So bakit di tayo nagtatanong? Let me give you the example of that metropolitan thing. I think you're aware of that long season show. Okay, yeah. Oh, I'm very specific with attires. Okay? Yung ating mga Cordilleras attires, mga, we don't call it costume. We call them attires or wears or ganyan. So please don't call, pag nakasuot na ganyan, costume na yun. So, I'd just like to address that issue, no? Napakadali naman na nagtanong kung tama ba na ang tag ay gagamitin ng babae. Okay? So, there would have been proper communication, tatay totally agree, para hindi tayo gumagawa ng mga ganon, no? Siyempre, nagkaroon ng anger to these people because our bahag is worn by men, not by women. But again, puro ano natin doon sa cultural tourism ba yun? Ginawa? Or creativity, cultural creativity. So in the name of that thing, ginawang ganon. Parang creative art, ballet of women using bahag, so naging naging issue sa mga ethno-linguistic groups dito sa Cordillera. So yung mga ganong issue. And I really agree na when we do something that is not ours, especially if you are non-IT, I think the proper way is to ask. Napakadali na naman yun. The digital age, is it correct? Tama ba? Mga ganun ba? So again, even that man of the world, yung man of the world ba yun? Yung
The male beauty pageant. Right?
yeah, the male beauty pageant using the bahag as swimwear. So dahil lang nakita yung picture ng isang IP noon na ganun ang pagkatali ng kanyang bahag. You know? So ginawa ng swimwear. So yung mga ganong mga issues, actually marami pa, but just to cite to some of this very recent and popular thing. So doon yung question natin na tama ba yun? Because you see, DepEd has actually a program at naayon ito sa K-12. Yung tinatawag natin Indigenous Peoples Education, where IKSP, Indigenous Knowledge Systems and Practices, Cultural Expressions, Traditional Culture, is already part of the curriculum.
Okay.
So we go back, and this is taught.
Yes.
And they become part of the curriculum for all subject. For all subject matter. So kami na mga proponent ng mga ganito, pag nakita namin yung parang siyang parang ito yung tinuturo mo sa school, pero ba yan? So, yun lang yung parang confusion.
Thank you very much for that insight. Well noted, we have academicians here. We may incorporate that in our curriculum, and perhaps in the next events, we can tackle that information and perhaps spread good information, correct information to a lot of people out there about the proper wearing of our national traditional attire. No? So let's move on to the next question. We have Dr. Dennis. There you go.
Thank you. I wanted to comment on the same topic. My colleagues and I did research in South Pacific, Fiji, Tonga, two islands on the topic of evolving cultures on this similar topic. And we were somewhat surprised when we talked to representatives of communities and tourism businesses at this table. What we showed tourists is how we lived 200 years ago. So is it really authentic? Because we don't live like that anymore. So it's a very difficult question in understanding what would be authentic or what is a staged experience. But what we found that what was important is that the control of a culture belongs to the people of that culture. That it's not the change is not imposed. They take and they mix things based on their own preferences and perceptions of what is important for their culture, how they can preserve the region, rather than someone else telling them what their culture should supposed to be. My 2 cents.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dan. It's very good input right there. I agree with you. Do we have any, our audience online? Yes, sir. Who are you pointing at? Okay, there, right at the back. You. Who would you like to address your question to?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Address the question to Director
Dillera.
Dillera.
Apo.
Okay. And also the others probably they can give. No.
Lapit na lang siguro po. Baka yung signal hanggang dito lang sa
Hapon po. We discussed things about evolving culture, preserving culture. I'd like to connect that to the topic of Director a while ago about providing trainings to those in the those involved in the different activities or businesses related to tourism. I'd like to know what specific trainings or skills need to be done or to be given to those in the sector, so that both preserving and evolving culture will be tackled or will be made known to the people who are engaged in activity.
Okay, thank you. Initially, I'd like to connect to what you said, Alma, and RDB said about how we can preserve culture. It's about documenting, of course, is very important, and being able to communicate. Now, in documentation, I think it's also very important that there are like agencies, there are like institutions. I know that we have a lot. The National Commission for Culture and the Arts, NCIP would be there. At the local level, there would be the IPMR and all that. Now, in terms of communication, of course, while DepEd would be there, base is for education for the young generation. I think the general public should also be taught on how to properly make use of this. Now, in terms of training, now it's really very difficult to again draw the line between what should be promoted. I mean, what's to be promoted as something that's marketed with certain fusion of what's already in the market or something like that. Or okay, what I'm saying is we are also providing training in terms of when we provide training for the production of crafts, we are also taking into consideration the market requirements. Okay, the market requirements. And when we talk about market requirements, sometimes the colors, and even the materials would have to be adjusted, right? Yeah, would have to be adjusted. Now, for as long as these products, these products are not marketed as the ones that are originally used by a certain indigenous people's group, I think there won't be any problem. That's what I was saying. We're actually providing assistance for them to also earn not just for themselves but also expand. Okay, but if we stick on providing or just marketing the very original or the very authentic products that our artists would have, that would have a limited market. Okay, so sometimes integration or incorporation of other materials, other colors, or enhancement of quality or whatever may also be acceptable for as long as it's not something that addresses or bastardize. Disrespects would be a better term. The communities that are originally making use of these crafts or given the practices that they have.
Follow up. Aside from those who are providing services? And also, is there a need to be trained to improve or to refresh the service providers on the add-ons that they are providing to their clients?
Yeah. Okay, for services, that would actually fall under the tourism. For products, well, the focus would be from the viewpoint of the Department of Trade and Industry, particularly those who are providing training in terms of developing their products, product developments, and all that. Yeah, we're actually talking about lifelong learning. We shouldn't stop learning. We should continue on learning even if we're already no longer green but gold. Okay, because I think even the preferences of the tourists or even the preferences of the consumers are also changing or are also evolving. So if we wanted to be relevant and responsive to the requirements of these very markets, then we should undergo training. And training are usually provided by industry experts or those who have already experienced how it is in different markets or things like that.
One last. Is there a need? Is there a need to add or to include the NCIP? Hello?
Yeah. Hindi nga ma'am.
Is there a need to include the NCIP or the culture bearers in the trainings that the DOT is providing to assure that there will be no bastardy? The
culture.
Okay, in our case before, case point, Region 12, Soxargen, where the Tigolis are, the Blacans are, the Maguindanaonas are, we always do consultation with the IPMR, Indigenous Peoples Mandatory Representative. Okay, they're actually elected and they're now actually part of the council of NAMGU. And NCIP, although NCIP would cover regulatory part. But even in the local areas, I like to believe that NCCA would also be present. And NCCA has actually been communicating and working with the communities in terms of documenting and making sure that documentation is really very important, as I was saying earlier on, because that will actually be the basis of any communication that's done for the people who are involved in informing or part of any tourism activity.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
For DOT, a lot of the trainings I speak for when I was. A lot of our trainings are held in the provinces, so there itself. So which means that it is consulted within the group already. So all the trainings are in conformity to the province involved. So there's a dynamic exchange of ideas. No? So we make sure that we do not overlap any sensitivities
Between and among
Yes.
the agencies. All right.
I would also like to add to that, when we talk about evolving culture, sometimes it's not because it's intentional. But for example, if we look at food, sometimes there are ingredients that are no longer available because it has become extinct. So there will be substitutes. And those substitutes is part of the cultural evolution also. But it's very important that we document. We don't see the dinosaurs now. But you know the dinosaurs because somebody documented those things. And we always say that when you start opening your communities to visitors and all, there's always osmosis. And we have osmosis. There's imbibing of culture outside in the same manner that we also want them to understand us and imbibe our culture, internal and external. So it's something that is beyond our control. It's going to happen. What is more important is that what are those symbolisms that our practices are supposed to mean to us? Whether that symbolism can be translated to lessons for our young. And they may find substitute for those symbolisms, but the lessons will never be forgotten. And I think that's our duty as cultural advocates, that symbolisms should be communicated. We may not be using the same materials, we might not be using the same ingredients, but you understand where it's coming from, you understand the philosophy, and with that, you respect the origin.
Exactly, that's correct. Thank you, Yusek. And Ms. Jamie, would like to add something on this?
Yeah, just a small add-on from what speaking for Nardas naman po, what we were able to learn or what we were able to develop, from PTRI when we developed our natural berries. So that was something that we needed help with. We collaborated also with them with, so we were able to produce at least these natural dyes for whichever we were making traditional clothing, but then for more personal use and modern design. But yeah, we were able to work with them in a timely ways, timely techniques also of dyeing, and that really helped our suppliers also. So yeah, it's a lot of we're keeping an open mind also. And yeah, and collaborating to improve that.
There you go. Straight from the industry, no? Thank you for all the inputs. We have a question coming in from Malaysia, from Hassan Al-Bagul. Is there any government initiative that specifically targeted the youth to get more involved in handicraft? Yes? Yes, you said maybe you'd like to address the video. All right.
Okay, first, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts have what we call SLT, School of Living Tradition. They're actually recognizing the MAPA, Gawad Galingan ng Bayan. And these are, well, I don't know if it's actually criteria, but most of the Gawad awardees are in their golden age, okay? Because the thing is, they should be, experienced. But one very important factor in the School of Living Tradition is how to transfer it to the next generation. And that's where the youth are actually involved.
Oh, all right. Hassan Al-Bagul of Malaysia, I hope we get to answer that for you. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Do we have follow-up questions in the online?
They're hungry.
They're hungry, indeed we are. All right, with that, we would like to conclude our panel discussion. A round of applause to these wonderful ladies, and thank you for your time. At this point, I would like now to call on Dr. Dennis Tolkash and Dr. Jenny Panchal to award our plaques of appreciation to our speakers and also to our program partners here in the Philippines. And don't go away because the much-awaited lunch is going to be served, or we're going to enjoy the buffet over there. Right, so Dr. Dennis, Dr. Jenny. I hope we get to see you again. Very insightful women, very empowered. Nakakatuwa. And we're the gentleman, buti lang. Host ay gentleman, no? Okay, so there you go. We would like to read the plaque of appreciation.
All right, so this reads this back of Executive Director Nelly, Dillera, for cultural tourism, sharing best practices, workshop 5, adaptation and economic diversification, healthy biodiversity in the Philippines and online. November 2025. First, project.
Yes, and the next one, appreciation.
The next plaque is awarded to Ms. Alma Jimenez. And fourth one is for Ms. Masters, her daughter, Jenny. We also have a plaque of appreciation, which is presented to Dr. Dennis Tolgash as the speaker at the Cultural Tourism Recovery Project, sharing best practices. And then also, project leader. We won't be here today without the initiative of Dr. Tolgash. So we want to present him this plaque of appreciation, signed by yours truly and Dr. Hasan Al-Mabul from Malaysia.
And of course, I'd like to present the plaque of appreciation
To Dr. Jenny Panchal. And without her, this particular workshop would be truly impossible. She did an incredible work putting it together. She came here a few weeks ago to make sure everything runs smoothly. And I'm really impressed by the organization. So I want to thank Jenny for everything that she's done for us.
Thank you, Dr. Jenny Panchal.
I believe we still have 3 plaques to award, and we just want to take this opportunity to give them to very deserving recipients. This plaque of appreciation is presented to St. Louis University as program partner, our cultural tourism recovery sharing best practices. Signed, yours truly, Dr. Dennis Tolgash and Dr. Hasan Al-Mabul.
Thank you. And singing on behalf of St.
Anyone from St. Louis University, please come forward.
St. Louis University, that's us. You're welcome. Next.
The next one is presented to the University of the Cordilleras.
Hey, University of
Special
Florida.
mention to Jenny Panchal already, and we have Mr. Ray Bartolome and this team of students that we have here. Maraming salamat. This one's for
so much. And to close our event for today, I would like to introduce Dr. Jenny Panchal. Dr. Jenny Panchal was born, raised, and educated in Baguio City. She graduated magna cum laude with a degree in Bachelor of Science in Tourism from the University of Baguio. She was awarded as one of the 10 outstanding students of the Philippines in the Cordilleras in 2001. Much of her non-academic work experience was gained at the Marriott in Thailand and Amangkulo in Palawan, mainly as a Japanese-speaking guest assistant. Dr. Panchal received 2 international scholarships. Firstly, the New Zealand Agency for International Development scholarship for her Master's in Tourism Management at Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand. Later, she embarked on a PhD in Tourism at James Cook University in Queensland, Australia. As an Australia Award Scholarship recipient, she was supervised by the late distinguished Professor Philip Pierce and Associate Professor Laurie Murphy. Dr. Panchal is currently a senior lecturer at the College of Business, Law and Governance at James Cook University, or JCU, Australia, teaching at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. Her research interests include tourism behavior, or tourist behavior, and the application of positive psychology in different specific forms of tourism, such as wellness tourism, particularly in Southeast Asia. While in Australia, her involvement in the ASEAN Tourism Research Association, or ASEAN, as board director, and her connections with colleagues at various institutions across Southeast Asia are essential factors in keeping herself abreast with tourism development, challenges, and opportunities across the ASEAN region. Further, Dr. Panchal's connections with Filipino continues in Australia, where she is currently the president of the Filipino-Australian Affiliation North Queensland, or FAANQ Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, this event would not have been possible without our very own Dr. Jenny Panchal. A round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I said good morning earlier, and we know that everyone's hungry, so I'll try to make it as short as possible. It took me pretty much the entire morning trying to put this message together because I was very fascinated by messages and speeches which our guests delivered today. But what I teach my students is that culture is a way of life. But the broad literature, if you look at anthropological literature, it suggests that there are 3 meanings of culture. It's a way of life, look at the artifacts, and look at physical products. So this pretty much sums up the tangible and intangible nature of culture. And now we understand that culture and tourism have a mutually beneficial relationship, which can strengthen the attractiveness and the competitiveness of a destination. We look at places, we look at regions, and we look at countries individually and also as a whole or collectively. Culture is an increasingly important element of the tourism as a tourism product because it creates distinctiveness in a crowded global marketplace. Now, beyond the devastating effects and impacts of COVID on communities and places, the pandemic has also presented us with an opportunity to change by highlighting a risky overdependence on a single industry sector and motivating local leaders and planners to invest in the long-term resiliency of tourism. Being an extensive industry is an important driver in the diversification of different economies. Now, being an extensive industry, we aim for this program, that is Cultural Tourism Recovery Project, through this hybrid event today, to aid in strengthening local communities and economies through diversification, which is one of the most effective ways to increase long-term economic resilience. We've heard from Engineer Alec Mapalo as well as Congressman Marco this morning about the importance of culture in the tourism industry. Also in her keynote message, Director Dillera reminded us to be willing to adapt and adjust to changing themes. Not just the times of change, it's also the themes. She also explained the importance of economic diversification in achieving a sustainable source of income and embracing innovation and leveraging digitalization and upskilling, reskilling as important elements of the competitiveness equation. I really liked what she said. Today we've heard from Jamie from Winaca, that's a partner from the beginning of this project. And Winaca Eco Cultural Village is a fantastic example of a diversified business that promotes and cultivates indigenous culture in pretty much all its operations. Very admirable. Also, like you said, Alma, and as I said earlier, I'm very impressed by the speakers' projects and initiatives. Organizing the Cultural Tourism Recovery Seminar Series with my colleague Dr. Jenny Panchal, who I'm very glad made it to Baguio and this time. We can stay here this time. We're both from James Cook University. We also have colleagues in Indonesia, Malaysia, and colleagues in Australia who have been helping us organize this seminar series. Now, in organizing this series as a whole, I learned that there's so many things to explore about culture, and that communities, destinations can truly leverage on different aspects of culture. And today, we learned from former USEC Alma Jimenez that cultural tourism could be that unique touch point for both domestic and international markets. And we were also warned by her of the dangers of commoditizing culture. Now I hope this challenges us to think about balancing culture as a product, especially in terms. Now today, so pleased because we have weavers, we have farmers, we have local government employees, representatives from NGOs, non-profit organizations, have members from or representatives from private businesses, and of course the academia. We also have students in this hall and who are currently in the virtual room. This is about knowledge sharing, and I'm so pleased that we're coming from different sectors, we're coming from different areas of the community, share our knowledge and expertise. It doesn't matter whether you're a weaver or a farmer, what we bring today, especially the workshop this afternoon, especially in this hall today, it would be very important. We have very simple exercises, but it's very reflective. But allow us, encourage us to think about the challenges and work together, create that synergy from different sectors and as a community. So it's about creating synergy. Now, on a personal note, it's been an honor and privilege to organize and host this event in Baguio. I am humbled to represent both James Cook University, that's my alma mater and my workplace, and also my beloved hometown, Baguio. I am very humbled. I'd also like to take this opportunity to remind you that we have a trip to Winaca tomorrow. Thanks to Winaca for organizing this for us. We will be taking the local jeepneys to Dublin, so it's going to be quite an experience. It will be a very different experience, especially even if you've been there before. Going on a jeepney would be a different experience altogether. And also, we would like to invite you to participate in the sixth and the last workshop of a series, which will be held purely online on the 6th of December. It's just a couple of weeks away. Doctor, 1st of December. I'm so sorry. The 1st of December, about 2 weeks away, and that will be purely online. So we'll be able to learn a lot of things during that workshop as well. That won't end there. One of our aims here in doing this project is to get everyone together, not just here in the Philippines, not just weavers working with weavers, but maybe weavers working with academics, working with local government units, working with even the national government, with other organizations in Indonesia, Australia, and Malaysia, and across the ASEAN. That's what we're trying to do. That this doesn't stop on the 1st of December. That this project would continue in the future as well. We strengthen relationships and we continue to share knowledge and experiences and best practices beyond this project. I have a long list to thank here, but I'm going to do it anyway. First, I'd like to thank the Australian government, particularly the Australia-ASEAN Council, for completely funding this project. We're here today, free of charge. We're going to Winaca tomorrow, all funded by the Australian government. We also want to thank James Cook University. They deserve applause. Maraming salamat. James Cook University, University Malaysia, Sabah, Hill Lipari in Indonesia, which is an association of various universities. In the Philippines, of course, our partner, St. Louis University, Winaca Eco-Cultural Village, and the University of the Cordilleras. We'd like to thank our speakers and special guests, Director Dillera, Ms. Venus Parkview, USEC, Alma Jimenez, Jenny Catanes, and Jamie. And we also would like to acknowledge the presence of former Assistant Secretary Malu. This event, this program itself wouldn't be as lively without the energetic Dr. Teenagers Hilay. So maraming salamat, sir. Our face-to-face attendees, that's you, everyone in this hall, and our attendees online. Thank you very much. Special thanks to our suppliers, Venus Parkview Hotel, our venue today, Mr. Alec Mapalo, and Attorney Charlito Barker, who was here earlier. She's the president and CEO of Venus Parkview Hotel. Extra special thanks to our friends from SMU, Eliza Joyce Palaruan, Maria Jenny Panchal, and the very dynamic team of events and management students headed by Mr. Roy Bartolome. And this group of students here, thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. Tulog na kayo. Maraming salamat. Neil, thank you.
All right, thank you. And that concludes our morning session. We're going to be back here at 2:20. Enjoy your lunch, everybody. Don't forget to say grace. Thank you, everybody.
Recording stopped.